It's patch day in Marvel Snap, and I gotta tell you, there's a lot to talk about here, and it's not just about the balance. I think there's something really interesting going on here. I would love your comments and your feedback and your opinions because, well, I think that Second Dinner needs them too, as they state here down below. They're interested in hearing your feedback on this new approach because Mobius M Mobius has been significantly nerfed. It's currently running a 20% meta share. It was running about a 33 at its peak based on untapped statistics, 55% win rate, good cube rate. But here's the thing. This is a significant change, going from basically an ongoing ability that cost can't be increased by your opponent and or your cost can't be increased and theirs cost can't be decreased, to on reveal until the end of next turn, your cost can't be increased and your opponent's cost can't be reduced. So it's the same effect, but no longer an on reveal for one specific turn. Ideally, you play Mobius on turn 5 to prevent a turn 6 miracle played by your opponent who's playing Sarah, Surfer, Sarah, whatever, right? Hitmonkey, whatever it happens to be. This is very weird to me. Let me explain. Now, first of all, I don't want to influence people's opinions because I think it's really important that you formulate your own opinion, give your feedback on Discord and on Reddit, on Twitter, whatever it happens to be to the development team. As a content creator, I don't want to influence people one way or another, but I also think it's important that I give you my opinion, right? So here it is. I'm super uncomfortable with this, and I'll explain why. So, Mobius M Mobius is basically a month old. A card that was touted as a very impactful card on the meta for the right reasons. It was a card that when was announced, we had said, hey, like save up your spotlight caches. Like this is one of the cards that you're going to want to have. And the result is nerfing it so significantly after people have invested their spotlight caches, saved their spotlight caches for it. This is frustrating because I think that a lot of free-to-play players and players that like are not whales and maybe dolphins or whatever, just casually playing the game, they're going to be frustrated with the idea that they invest their tokens, their spotlight caches, or even their golden money. Because if you don't forget, this Mobius M Mobius was in a bundle near immediately after its launch in the spotlight caches, right? So it wasn't just available in spotlight caches, like you could get it via bundle too, and it wasn't cheap. So the result is that it's like, okay, you have a card that you had in the spotlight caches in a bundle immediately after, and then it had an immense impact on the meta, but it wasn't like overbearing, I don't think. And now it's just nerfed right to the ground. It still might be better than I'm giving it credit for, but I really don't think it is. I think going from an ongoing to an on reveal feels way worse. Yeah, like I'm kind of uncomfortable with this because I think that I understand the development team's perspective of, hey, if we can fix the meta for a month, let's do it. Marvel Snap's a fast-moving game. We want the game to be enjoyable at all points in time. I don't think it's going to be good if the game feels like it sucks for a month, right? Because we had that with Shuri, right? We had that when Thanos had like a 65% win rate. However, I also think there's some value to giving people confidence in what they're investing their resources in. If you're investing your spotlight caches or your tokens or your gold and money into a specific card, and that's what you're doing, and then it changes month to month so rapidly from relevant to complete garbage, then I think that really hurts the confidence in your player base. Like it's just, I think there's a delicate balance here, and I hope that Second Dinner figures it out. But this to me feels like a very heavy-handed approach to changing Mobius because I don't think it was that overbearing. Yes, 20% meta share is still high, still a relatively new card. My opinion, I see Mobius coming right down. It's been consistently dropping in meta share. A little more time would have given those other Zabu decks some room to breathe. Now, I think this is just done. Zabu decks and other cost reduction decks will probably just skyrocket again, like the next card we're going to talk about, who is Ravonna Renslayer, who I'm sure at this rate is going to see some damn play, is going to have some very scary effects and some combo decks coming out shortly. This was like the thing that people kind of clamored for at its launch. 2-1 Ravonna, or at least a 2-drop anyway. Same effect. The development team's right to identify that, like, hey, listen, a turn 5 Arnim Zola is pretty damn scary. There's a lot of cards that are scary, right? Because you can now have the turn 5 Arnim Zola, you have the turn 4 Iron Man. There's so many different things that are good, but you have that turn 3, which is no longer committed to a weak Ravonna that you can use to set up a board state that's more beneficial. So I really like this change. Notably, she was terrible. 47% win rate, no meta share, no cube rate. Awful, awful, awful card. I'm actually really interested to see what this happens. I think that Ravonna is now relevant. I think that it's good that they're buffing a card that's Series 3, by the way, Series 4. So if it really takes off from a meta perspective, then like, you know, it's not 6,000 tokens, it's 3,000 tokens. But what if they just nerf it again right after a week later or something? It's the Mobius problem, right? Like, that's kind of the concerning thing. If you're way too rapid with the changes, the investment confidence in your player base can be shaken, right? So if Ravonna takes off and becomes really meta relevant, it's like, do I buy her? Do I buy her? They're just going to nerf her and I'm going to waste all my tokens I've been saving for months, right? So, oh man, this Mobius change has got me kind of thinking about like the actual confidence of the economy. But anyways, I think this is a huge change for Ravonna. I think this had to happen. It probably could have released like this, honestly, considering that Mobius M Mobius was right after, and they did identify that in the developer note. So this is a great change. I'm glad it's happening. Now, this is interesting. Wave is a fascinating card because, as you'll see, it's only a 5% meta share, 4.6%. And I have not played against the Wave in the longest time. When Mobius first came out, there was the Mobius Wave plays that were trying to set up to punish your opponent by, oh, you can't play your 6-drop, but I can type thing. And those kind of fell off. Wave just kind of didn't see much play. If Wave's not seeing play, Arrow's not seeing play, and like, it just wasn't quite there. And then so what happened was people were playing other decks, and now all of a sudden you had these decks that were like explosive turn 6s, even with Elsas, and you had the you know, the Hitmonkey Yellow Jacket Wasp style deck, and Wave still wasn't being used that much. So they've made some changes. She's more powerful from a power perspective, a 3/5, but the effect is much weaker. Basically, you reduce the cost of the cards from 6 and 5 down to 4, but your 1s, 2s, and 3s remain the same cost. So costs are set to a maximum of 4. That's the primary on reveal change. And so this creates an interesting dynamic because it's kind of hard to say, okay, like where does Wave fit now in the meta into different decks? Now this is going to open up some opportunities, but it also completely changes the way Wave has traditionally been played. So you're still able to cheat things out, but it's not the door shutting card on turn 6, right? Which is exactly what, say, Sandman was designed to be. Like, there were other cards that were supposed to play the job of what Wave was being used for. And so I think that's what they kind of did. They said, okay, Wave has this identity of shutting down turn 6 or shutting down well, usually just turn 6. That's not what we want. It's either shut down turn 6 or sneak out Galactus is what Wave was doing. Now it can just sneak out Galactus. It can't shut down turn 6 because if you want to shut down turn 6, you want to use Sandman. Sandman is used to shut down turn 6, even turn 5 if you ramp it out with an Electro, which is most common with Doctor Doom based strategies, which I think I'm going to really enjoy. I've always liked Sandman ramp, and now with Doctor Doom being buffed back up, Sandman into Doctor Doom into Odin with Electro on board, this seems like a very natural opportunity. Very good deck. Love seeing Series 2 cards get buffed. It's running a 48% win rate prior, and it used to be a 5/5, and it was like dominating the meta. It went to 5/3, it fell off completely, less than 1% meta share, almost no cube gain. And then now it's back to 5/4. So right in the middle here, we'll have to see how it shakes out. I can imagine Sandman ramp like landing at like a 54% win rate. That would be my guess. Because it is a competent deck, honestly. Like if you get the draws, you have your Chavez, you have your Wave, you can even use Iron Lad, which is a tool now that didn't exist when Sandman ramp was extremely popular as a 5/5. So like, there's some more tools now to make Sandman ramp a little more viable. It's going to be a deck that I'll be covering soon. So if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe. You'll see the video. YouTube's weird anyway. Hopefully you see the video. If you subscribe, you got more chances to see the video. But regardless, I think that Sandman is in a really interesting spot at 5/4. I think it's not overbearing, but it's just about right. But most importantly, it fixes the problem with Wave. So Wave no longer shuts down turn 6. Sandman now shuts down turn 6. And does this allow Arrow to find a place back in the meta? Time will tell. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Wow, this card was completely dead. And I spent 6,000 tokens on this card because I thought it was going to be good. Coccia thought it was going to be, we all thought it was going to be pretty good. And then it ended up being super awkward to play, which is exactly what the developer note says here. It was just too like mind-bending to play. Kind of has like that Titania feel where it's like you want to play the card, you recognize the card's probably good in a lot of situations, but it's just easier not to play the card, right? Because you're just going to piss yourself off when you lose the game because they fed a Nova into your Negasonic on turn 6 and your whole plan just fell apart around you or whatever it is, right? So Negasonic going from a 3/5 to a 3/2, but most importantly, no longer explodes. After an enemy plays a card there, it destroys the enemy card once per game and not your card. This could be particularly powerful, I think, in Silver Surfer naturally. So 3 hey Alex, 3-cost Silver Surfer. But seriously, this card on turn 6 with initiative earned is crazy. Because what you can do is you Sarah on turn 5, you have Negasonic +1 plus Silver Surfer. You play the Negasonic where you're kind of guessing where they're going to be playing a significant piece, and you're able to wipe that out, essentially, right? That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. It's an interesting change. We'll have to see. I could see this actually being pretty wild. So I think that Negasonic is going to get a ton of experimentation. You're not going to see a 49% win rate on it. You're not going to see a 0% meta share. You're going to see it ramping up in popularity because I think Negasonic's change is significant, and you're going to see me experimenting with it because I think it's good. Antman. Now this is a change that is a buff technically, but it is a change that is coinciding with the changes to Dazzler and Mojo to basically say, hey, if the location is full, then Antman gets buffed. Not necessarily that 3 cards have to be there. Not a major change. What surprised me was Antman's meta share at 11%. I did not think Antman was at 11% right now. We are seeing a little more spectrum since the latest patch. We are seeing Thanos making a comeback, and so Antman makes those lists sometimes. So yes, Antman's actually kind of re-emerging a little bit, but 11%, I was so surprised to see that. And at a decent cube rate, who would have thought Antman's actually a good card right now? It is a good card. Totally under the radar. But anyways, so Antman, you know, getting that change, good. This is quality of life. And there's a last change here for the patch here, which is a quality of life change, one might say. It could be considered a nerf, but some text change to Alioth. Now, Alioth has already been changed to a 6/3. We know that. It's on reveal. Already absolutely devastating. However, it's been changed so that it only destroys enemy cards that are still on the opponent's side. So that means that if you play like a Green Goblin or a Hobgoblin and you have initiative and it pops over to the other side and then they play Alioth, if it's on their side now, it doesn't die, right? So it's kind of a nerf to Alioth because like you can counter it with something like a Hobgoblin because the Hobgoblin will go over and still survive the Alioth effect and obviously out-trade the Alioth, you know, -8 versus the +3. So that makes it so that you could switch that lane. It's a meaningful nerf to some degree, and with the Nihilist coming out and just kind of disruption junk probably making a massive comeback next month, this probably sets up Alioth for a massive shift, because if these types of effects can sneak by Alioth, then suddenly next month is looking a little shakier for this card, which already has had a significant drop in meta share at a 14% meta share, still a 55% win rate, and a very, very respectful cube rate. So the card is still relevant, but it's not as relevant as you think, though it feels that way, right? Only 3% more popular than Antman, but no one's like, yo, Antman just beat me, I'm taking it to Twitter, right? That's what Alioth does, unfortunately. But anyways, that's it for today. An absolutely wonderful patch. A lot of good changes. The last 2 have been pretty damn spicy. We got another video for you if you're interested in watching some more Marvel Snap content, and we'll see you in that next Marvel Snap video.